in certain times that you decided to put that on as far as the contentment versus being caught up with the circumstances, it's such a benefit. It's such a benefit.
Hi, beautiful people. Welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome to our channel.
Yes, I'm Susie.
And I'm Ness. And this is Mom and Daughter Talk, where we hope to inspire,
encourage,
and uplift your mother-daughter relationships. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether it's morning, evening, or afternoon. We really appreciate it. Love y'all. So we are continuing a series we are calling What Is Series? And today we are doing episode 2. If you haven't seen episode 1, please click the end card up there. Today's topic is what is contentment?
You hear that word and you think, well, you know what? I always like to base on scripture because it really is the truth. And it says, in whatever state you're in, therewith to be content. Or it's Paul talking, he says, I have learned to be content, right? So whatever situation, whatever state you're in. And I think about, like, there's been times where, let's say I wanted to buy a house, but yet I was living in an apartment. So it's sometimes can be a challenge when you want something to be content where you are. So what does that mean? How does that translate? So to be honest, it's kind of like, hey, let's make this a home. Let's make this apartment a home, make it beautiful to its full potential, and learn to be content with it, and then knowing that in the right timing it'll happen. So another one, I know this girl that her car is a mess. And I knew she wanted a new car, but I'm like, take the car that you have now and fix up the tint or do whatever and make it better so that you can learn to be more content with what you have right now. And so that's kind of a tip where, like, if you want to learn to be content, make it beautiful.
So it's kind of like maintain what you currently have and focus on that?
Yes, absolutely. And it also is learn to be a good manager of what God already has blessed you with. Because a lot of times we can focus on our goals and, you know, what's in the future. What's going on right now? Because really, to be honest, you take you with you into the future. So therefore, how you are with little things and keeping your house clean, this, that, and other, your apartment that way is going to be exactly how you go into the house that way. Just like when you're single, if you're undisciplined and different things like that in whatever areas of your life, doesn't mean that just because you say I do, that all those things are going to disappear.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's about character. Yeah.
And while you're looking towards the future, I think it's okay to take a pause and, like, think on what do I have now? What has God given me to steward over currently right now? And I'll be honest, for me right now, there's a few things God has got me stewarding over, and finances is a big one. Like, I started my debt-free financial journey back in June 2020, and I had to learn how to be content with my finances. Like, I was due for a raise before the pandemic happened and never got that raise, never got that promotion. Like, the whole world was on pause, right? So thankful I was blessed to still have my job and work from home, but that promotion, that raise that I was banking on was kind of my ticket for contentment. So sometimes I think we lean on our circumstances to keep us content. But then when those things don't happen, you know, we might feel irked or frustrated the first 1, 2, 3 days. But then I had to kind of reel myself back and be like, be content with what you have. Ness, be blessed you have a job right now. Like, be blessed you still have income coming in and, you know, you can pay your bills.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be where, you know, God can put on your heart to give in the midst of a time when you're in need, right? But again, and we're not saying be foolish about it where you know, give your money all the way to the church and then you can't, you know, pay your own bills or whatever. But it's easy to give when there's a lot and there's abundance. But the challenge and the sacrificial giving comes when you don't have as much. You know, I think about the woman with the 2 mites. Jesus said she gave more than all of you guys that had a lot. You know what I mean? So, one thing I have learned is so true. It's really not about the money. It's about your heart and the generosity. God wants to develop us to be like him. And he's very, very generous. There's a saying in the church, you can't be God-giving, and it's so true. He has endless resources, right? It says all the silver and gold is his. So I just want to encourage you that even in learning to be content. And when you talked about finances, a lot of times we think that we need to hold on to things, you know what I mean? But when God impresses upon you to do it, and I emphasize that when he impresses upon you, not just doing it frivolously and what have you, but when you have that heart posture, it really is where it's kind of like sowing into the ground so that there'll be fruit in times that you have need. So yeah, don't minimize your giving in times when there's scarcity.
And in that giving, like you see that when you're focused on giving, you're not so much focused on what you don't have, because you're giving out of the abundance that you already do have.
I was just talking about when you don't have abundance. You know what? I'll share a quick testimony. When I was married to her dad, we were buying our first house, right? And so there was a fundraiser or something happening at the church, and we were saving toward a house. So we had, and I'll give numbers, it was like $3,000, right? Which isn't much to put down on a house, right? So we both felt like that we should give the $3,000 toward the church building that was being built. And now again, it's something that, you know, you have to know that God is putting on your heart. Right. So we did. And I kid you not, within 3 months after that, we found a house, and within a month, $23,000 came in. $23,000. Yeah.
Just from all over the place, or what?
Yes, my parents blessed us with $10,000 because we were putting a down payment on the house. Yeah. He ended up getting a stipend that he didn't anticipate on his job, and an insurance check that we weren't $23,000. So we had enough to put down 10% on the house.
And I believe that is the evidence of y'all's heart posture in giving towards the church, when you felt like, I don't think we have what we need right now, but I'm gonna obey God and I'm gonna give it down. Because like everybody's resources and money, it doesn't come from man. Money doesn't grow on trees. Like it comes from heaven. Like that is God's bank. Like he balling, right? He created this heaven, the stars, and the earth. Like, come on now. So when you surrender your finances to God, man, you gonna see like miraculous things, like she was talking about. Because humans, we can't miraculously make things happen. If you find somebody who can make miraculous things happen, let me know in the comments below, because I've never met anybody who can do that.
And only who can walk on water too.
Yeah, who can walk on water, turn water into wine. Only my God can. So, you know, once you surrender that piece, anything, like you want a new house, you want a job in your career, you want kids, you want a man, you want a woman, like give it to him, surrender to him, and see what he can do. Test him. He will come through. Yeah.
And I know this can be a touchy subject, but I believe in tithes and offerings, as far as which means 10th, right? So
a tenth of your first fruits.
Yeah, of your income. And it's one of the scriptures that the only one that I know where God said, you know what, test me, prove me. If you do this, that watch that I will rebuke the devourer for your sake, meaning he'll keep the enemy at bay from your things or your, you know, whatever that's concerning you. And then it says he'll open up the windows of heaven and he'll pour you out a blessing that there'll not be room enough to receive. So that's pretty, when God says test me,
right?
I'll take him off on that offer because he's God Almighty.
Just like we were saying in the webisode, From an Atheist to a Believer, the devil always is there as well. So when it comes to big promises that that God gives us in the Bible, where it says like, test me with your first fruits, like, trust me, the devil is right there to manipulate it, to thwart it. And I don't know everybody, but a lot of people, like you said, it's a touchy subject. A lot of people feel like, it's my money, I made it, why I need to give it to God? But it's like, in fact, you didn't create this money. It didn't come from you. So you should honor the person who gave it to you and who is God.
Yeah, or really like he's giving you the ability to work, to be able to get seed. You know what I mean? To be able to get that money. Yeah. So yeah, ultimately it's not you.
Yeah. Like I said, let me know if you know anybody who can control money. Let me know. So in all that, learn to be content. I know we hit on money a lot, but try and be content in anything you're going through. And would you say contentment also correlates with your emotions?
Oh, a lot with your emotions. Because really our desires, they drive us. You know what I mean? That they navigate us through life, whether it be desire for the Lord, desire for, you know, other things. So it has a lot to do with your emotions. And just really calming yourself down in the sense of, I don't know, there's something about peace within your soul that sets an atmosphere for contentment, that, you know what, I don't need, I may want things, but I don't need things to change the way I feel internally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I've grown in contentment literally in anything I'm going through. Once I got in my word, and then I read about the fruits of the Spirit. There's 9 fruits of the Spirit. And it's, people know 3 of them: love, peace, joy,
and soul train.
Yeah, no. But there's so many more. Like, there's 6 more. And so it's love, peace, joy, goodness, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control, and patience.
Nice.
And so I had went through them. I'm like, ooh, I need to grow in patience. I need to grow in self-control. Because I was like, at one point in life, I had no control over my emotion. So there's no way I can be content walking day to day throughout my life if I don't have control over my emotions. That was a big thing. And I feel like a lot of women go through that. It's really hard to control our emotions. But once I gave literally everything, all of my emotions over to God, because I was like, I'm doing the same thing and nothing is changing. Like, I'm going crazy. Like, once I did that, I received the gift of contentment.
Would you say it was a process, though? Definitely.
It's a huge process. Yeah. Everybody's different. God, I don't put him in a box, so he can miraculously, just take that emotion away from you. But it was a huge process. It took stripping away what I knew and stepping into a world that I've never seen before. It takes a lot of boldness. It takes moving past your fear. And I love to say fear and faith require you believing in something that you cannot see. So are you going to choose to live your life in fear because you can't see fear? Or do you choose to live your life in faith?
But you cannot see either.
You can't see that either.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, fear just gives me anxiety, depression, heartache, trauma, not knowing how to express myself, lost relationships. Let me try faith a little bit.
And try door number 2 instead of door number 1.
Yeah. And it brought me so much peace, so much contentment, so much joy, all the fruits of the Spirit, and more. I got a best friend in Jesus.
And really, I know when you say that, or when you hear that about Jesus being your best friend, it really is more than just rhetoric. I think that when you really get to know that for truth for yourself, then that's another way to be content, is that nothing, meaning no one, when you talk about friendships, can move you.
Right.
Yeah. Can move you. It's a liberating place. Yeah. And I'm still walking through it, and I know she is as well, but the closer we get to it, and circumstances where in certain times that you've decided to put that on, as far as the contentment versus being caught up with the circumstances, it's such a benefit. It's such a benefit.
Yeah. And I remember growing up, you would always say, Jesus is my best friend. And she would say that all the time, and I never understood that. And I was like, okay. And it took me years to finally understand what you meant. And it wasn't that long ago. But I'm like, oh, wow. Like, so it's like, you hear that, I can see how you're like, yeah, okay. That's your best friend. More power to you. That's my best friend. That's my best friend. But I was able to understand it once I experienced it for myself. And once again, those experiences you have in life with God, like, no one can take that away. No one.
Yeah. And when you think about friendship, I know we covered that in another webisode, but the qualities of a great friendship, someone that's trustworthy, that's always there for you, that won't share your secrets, etc., etc. And really, Jesus fits all those qualities and then some, So.
And he is the source of contentment.
Yeah. And if you feel challenged in that area, ask God to help you. That's another thing too. He says he'll give us wisdom if we ask of him, and he wants to give it to us. You know what I mean? But it's a matter of asking. Because he's not going to just force it on us. He's
a gentleman. He's going to knock at our heart's door. And if we don't answer, he's just going to stand there at the door. He never leaves us or forsakes us. But he's not going to just barge into your life. The devil, on the other hand, is not a gentleman. You leave the door cracked open even a little bit, he's a snake who slithers in the garden. He's just going to slither right into your room. And like, I didn't let you in, bruh. But anyway, thank you so much for joining for webisode 2 of our series, What Is? Please click the end card up there please click the end card up there. I don't know where it's at.
Please click the end card up there.
Somewhere up there.
My name is Susie, and you have an amazing day. I don't know why I said my name is Susie. Have an amazing day. Woo!
Woo!